When a black woman CEO got denied service at her own bank, she didn't yell. She stayed calm. 5 minutes later, the manager who judged her was fired on the spot. The morning sun cast long shadows across the marble floors of Sycamore First Bank when Adira Langston stepped through the glass doors at 9:28 a.m. on a Tuesday. The financial district hummed with its usual rhythm, brokers rushing to meetings, assistants clutching coffee cups, security guards nodding at familiar faces. But Nadira moved with different purpose. Her driver held the door as she adjusted her navy blazer, the tailored wool whispering against her silk blouse. The outfit wasn't flashy, diamond studs instead of chandelier earrings, a leather portfolio instead of a designer handbag. She dressed like what she was, the 48-year-old CEO of Bluestone Dynamics, here to transfer one of her company's 7-figure accounts. "Morning, ma'am," the security guard said, barely glancing up from his newspaper. Nadira offered a polite nod as her low heels clicked across the polished floor. The sound drew no attention, just another professional in a building full of them. At the reception desk, a young woman with a sleek ponytail typed rapidly. Nadira waited patiently before speaking. "Good morning. Nadira Langston from Bluestone Dynamics. I have a 9:30 with commercial banking." The receptionist's fingers paused. "One moment, please." Her eyes flicked to Nadira's left hand, bare except for a platinum band. "Is this regarding a personal account?" "Number, it's for Bluestone Dynamics, the commercial transfer we've been coordinating." Before the receptionist could respond, a sharp voice cut through the lobby. "Can I help you with something?" Cheryl Bainbridge emerged from her glass-walled office, the branch manager's badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. At 55, with chemically straightened blonde hair and a stiff suit, she moved with the territorial confidence of someone who'd spent decades guarding her small kingdom. Nadira extended her hand. "Yes, thank you. I'm here for my appointment regarding our account transfer." Cheryl's grip was brief and cool. "And you are?" "Nadira Langston, CEO of Bluestone Dynamics. My team's been working with Peter Larson on this, but I understand he retired last month." The manager's gaze traveled from Nadira's braided updo to her leather portfolio. "You're handling this personally?" "That's correct." Cheryl's lips pursed. "We typically require advance notice for high-value account changes." She turned to the receptionist. "Can you pull up this appointment?" Nadira withdrew a printed confirmation from her folder. "Here's the email from your scheduling system. Reference number CB-2148 for 9:30. The receptionist compared it to her screen. "It's right here, Miss Bainbridge. 9:30 with commercial." Cheryl's expression didn't change. "And you're certain this isn't meant for your CFO or treasurer?" A beat of silence. Somewhere behind them, a printer whirred to life. "I run the company," Nadira said evenly. "When we move 8-figure sums, I sign the paperwork." The air between them thickened. Cheryl's shoulders squared. "Given recent fraud attempts, we're requiring additional verification for all major transactions." She nodded to the receptionist. "Please call security for an ID check." Nadira's exhale was barely audible. She'd faced this before, in boardrooms where assistants assumed she was the note-taker, at conferences where attendees asked if she was someone's plus one, but never so blatantly in her own bank. "Let me save everyone time," she said, opening her portfolio with deliberate calm. Arizona driver's license, corporate registration documents, my business card, the bank's own transfer authorization forms. She laid each on the counter like cards in a high-stakes game. Would you like my birth certificate, too? Or perhaps a notarized letter from my mother confirming I am who I say I am? A teller stifled a cough. The businessman at the next station paused his deposit slip mid-signature. Cheryl's neck flushed pink. There's no need for attitude, Miss Langston. These are standard precautions. For whom? Nadira's voice remained courtroom steady. When Peter Larson brought clients here, did you fingerprint the gray-haired men in Brioni suits? The lobby's background murmur died. Even the phone seemed to stop ringing. That's completely different, Cheryl hissed. We know Peter. And now you know me. Nadira held up the bank's welcome letter addressed to her by name. Or is the real issue that your system only recognizes certain kinds of people as executives? The security guard arrived, his hand resting on his belt. Cheryl opened her mouth, just as a deep voice cut through the tension. Is there a problem here? Matthew Dorsey stood at the edge of the lobby, his tailored suit and salt and pepper hair marking him as someone important. The receptionist straightened instantly. Mr. Dorsey, this is Miss Langston from Bluestone Dynamics. She had a 9:30. I know exactly who Miss Langston is. The regional director's gaze swept from Cheryl's rigid posture to the security guard, to the document spread across the counter. His expression darkened. Cheryl, my office, now. The walk back felt like a perp walk. Employees pretended not to stare as Cheryl trailed behind Matthew, her earlier confidence replaced by something brittle. Nadira followed, catching snippets of whispers. Called security on the Dorsey account. That's the tech CEO from the Journal. Told her she didn't look. Matthew's office smelled of lemon polish and expensive cologne. He closed the door with a quiet click. Miss Langston, I can't apologize enough for this misunderstanding. Nadira took the offered seat. It wasn't a misunderstanding, Mr. Dorsey. Your manager saw a black woman with a folder and made assumptions. Happens all the time. She crossed her legs. Just rarely so publicly. Behind them, Cheryl stood trembling. Matthew, I was following protocol. You ignored protocol, he corrected, pulling up the appointment on his tablet. Verified client, scheduled meeting, complete paperwork. He turned the screen toward her. What part of this looked fraudulent to you? Cheryl's mouth worked silently. The AC hummed. Nadira studied a framed photo on the wall, Matthew shaking hands with the bank's CEO. The interesting thing about bias, she mused, is how it masquerades as caution, like when airport security randomly selects the same passengers every time. Matthew exhaled through his nose. Cheryl, wait outside, please. When the door clicked shut, he sank into his chair. I'll process your transfer personally, and Cheryl won't be managing this branch or any other going forward. Nadira nodded. She'd seen this dance before, the swift punishment, the quiet reassignment. Firing her solves your problem, not mine. The next Nadira will still walk in here and get profiled. She leaned forward. Change your hiring practices. Audit your complaint records. Make your diversity training more than a PowerPoint slideshow. Outside, the bank continued its morning rhythm. Deposits made, loans approved, money moving invisibly through wires and whispers. But something had shifted. Tellers spoke in hushed tones. The receptionist kept glancing at Cheryl's empty office. By noon, Nadira's transfer was complete. By 3 p.m., Cheryl's LinkedIn profile would list her as seeking new opportunities. By week's end, the viral tweet, Black CEO gets security called on her at own bank,
would force a corporate statement. But as Nadira slid into her waiting car, she knew real change wouldn't come from headlines or hashtags. It would come when bankers stopped seeing her as an exception to the rule and started recognizing that the rule itself was flawed. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Story Hub and hit the bell icon. More stories need to be heard.